where I can get to Korea the quickest. That was dumb, but that was what I wanted to do.
What was your favorite part about it?
About my service,
Mm-hmm.
uh, well, I enjoyed it after a while. The reason I got out was I wanted to try it outside, and your mother was got sick right after we got to Vermont. She had Jackie, and her diabetes got her,
Mm.
and then she was homesick. It was costing me money. I wasn't making enough, and so I decided to come back in the Army. And I was out for 2 years, and I came back in.
Oh, I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
never knew that.
I stayed up there. I worked. While I was up there, I worked. I went to University of Vermont. I worked for 2 weeks.
Really?
That's the only way I'd get to the university. I told them they paid me. I had Butch and Sue and your mother, and I was making 95 cents an hour. We worked 6 days a week. We worked 9 hours a day, 54 hours. I got a little less than $54.
Ooh.
Then I got another job where I worked at the major appliance, and I was making about probably $1.50 an hour.
That was a lot of money back
Yeah,
then.
I was.
What made you successful at work? I know this one.
I did my job.
That's right.
I did my job. One thing Grandma here and I had the same thing. We never planned to be late. You kids, none of you kids picked it up, by the way. We always try to be early, whatever it is, whether it's a funeral or whether it's a job. But I guess that's it.
What did you believe about yourself that helped you become successful and deal with hard times?
What did I believe about myself? I didn't believe so much about myself as that when you were not born, LeVon was not born, 1957, I was saved. And the reason I got saved is because I was taking Sue and Butch to Sunday school. They got me into Sunday school. They wouldn't leave me alone. They'd come and visit me all the time. I used to get so mad. But guess what? I got saved out of that.
Yeah.
So that's what helped me when I run into a lot. I've had a few bad times in my life, not as much as other people. But
What times in your life truly tested your mettle, and what did you learn about yourself by dealing or not dealing with them? I'm not sure what mettle is.
your determination.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, what it was probably the first time was when Butch got burnt so bad.
Yeah, when the iron.
Yeah, and I couldn't hardly stand. I didn't mind going, but I couldn't hardly stand leaving. He was only let's see, this is 54. He was a little over a year old when he got burned, and then when we brought him home, I saw all the scarring he had, but the doctor said, "Don't worry about it. As he gets older, it'll go away." And he got bigger. But that tested us the first time. I think. Well, the fact that your mother lost Jackie due to whatever he had, hydroencephalitis,
Mm-hmm.
because she was diabetic. And probably the next time was when your mother died. Really tested. And but again, my faith got me through that.
And then Butch.
Well, later on in life, Rick got killed. And we had a time with that. And then 2 years later, Butch got killed. And so those are all bad things. But here I am.
Yes. What 3 events most shaped your life?
think the first one was when I jumped out of an airplane. I'd never even been in one before. That shaped my life right then.
That would have shaped mine.
And then, probably the second thing that shaped my life was when I got saved. A lot of little things in between there. And then the third thing that shaped my life was when I had my first heart attack, I would say. I've got some other things in there. I don't know if they would put them major or minor. I was 18 when your mother and I started dating. I think we got married. I just turned 20 and she was still 19. And then, guess what? 2 years after your mother died, got married again. All those things. And it's been, like I've told many people, it's not, there's two different segments in our life. First one was raising a family, growing up. We started out together, your mother and I were about the same age, 6 months different. And then the second one was when, after this, I thought my married life was over. I met Ellen. She just added to my maturity.
Mama had the boy, Ellen got the man.
Well, that's what, we were young ones.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much what.
I think there's all kinds of things that can just shape your life, but those are pretty important. Oh, I've heard this a million times, but I'm going to ask this question. What do you remember most? What do you remember about when each of us was born?
You know what it is. I stayed up
Butch
all
was
night
ugly.
waiting for you
Was
to
it
be
Butch?
born.
Butch was an ugly baby or something.
Butch came right on time. In fact, a little early. He was coming out when they were taking her into the delivery
That's
room.
right. Did you know this?
And I heard him crying. No, the old hospital used to be on right across from the Prince Charles Hotel on Hay Street. He was at one, and the doors were still swinging up there at Highsmith over there in that hospital. Anyways, then when LeBron was born, she was a all-dayer. Plus, we sat over there all day long, and they said, well, and Barbara's grandma, Barbara Gatto's grandmother, said, she was a nurse up there, she said, Mr. Coates, why don't you go home with your children? Your grandma was taking care of them. You come up in the morning, she'll probably have it sometime then. So I said, okay. So I went home, got up next morning about 6 o'clock, took off up to the hospital, and I walked in, she said, Mr. Coates, you got a brand new baby girl.
And that's how it was.
She was a big one. She said, she's a big, healthy one.
LeBron's like, yeah, I still am.
Now, moving down the line.
I love my story.
You were born at Womack Army Hospital, the old hospital, not the new one. It was new then, but and you were, I was on staff duty. I had to get somebody to replace me, and I went over and sat over here right outside the delivery room all night till I fell asleep. Woke up the next morning about 6 o'clock with a stiff neck. Nobody had come out. Went down to the information desk downstairs on the first floor, and I said, I'm checking on my wife. And she was supposed to have a baby last night. Nobody's contacted me. He said, Sergeant, you have a daughter. She was born about 1:30 this morning. Then
They let you sleep all night.
Yeah. Tammy was, she was a work in progress. Your mother was pregnant in France. They told me that she was going to have a tubal ligation at the same time they're going to deliver Tammy C-section. Said, we're going to do it tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I went home. It was about 50 miles each way. I drove home, and so the next day I got up and got everything going at the house, and I drove up there about 11 o'clock, and I went to the room, and I said, "Where's Miss Coates at?" He said, "Oh, she's in recovery." I said, "Recovery from what?" Said, "She had a baby." They said we had an opening, so we stuck her in there. They put her in. She had that C-section, and Tammy was undersized. We had to leave her in the hospital for a while.
I never knew Mom had a C-section with Tammy.
Yeah, that's when they did. Well, the reason they did that was because of the one that we were going to do that tubal ligation. I guess that's the way they did it back then. The incision. But anyways, we had to leave her up there for about a week, and then we went back, got her home. She had, I think you heard this before. Tammy had French dual citizenship. She was a French citizen.
Oh, that's right.
When she got back, the State Department issued her American citizenship, so she probably still got that one.
She probably does.
She'll want to go over France, check her place in there.
Here's a good one. Were you ever scared to be a parent?
Yeah. When Butch first came along, your mother had a habit. Right after each one of you was born, she said, "I've spent 9 months with them. Now it's your turn to get up with them at night and everything." She'd go to sleep, and she'd sleep like a log. You couldn't wake her up with a... So I'd get up, and we lived in a little apartment when Butch was born, and he stayed in bed with us for a while. And we were scared to death, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We put him in between us. But then I said, if I hadn't been in the Army, I probably would have been a little more concerned. But then when I got out of the Army, I had Sue and Butch. I went up to Vermont. I had to start all over. But I had about $600 I'd saved up. And that back then it was a lot of money. And we took that money and we bought a stove and refrigerator. And everything else was given to us. All the family. I got an old thing out in the garage, washing machine and all the things we needed. We had a couch and chair, this kind of like this American, it was, you know, those rockers they got like that.
Mm-hmm.
Chair that had maple arms on it. So.
Just the one with the cushions.
Yeah.
Okay. We will complete this one because this is halfway done. And you will get to do the second half next time. Thank you, Dad. And Ellen, you will need to be here.
That's good to have that because you know what?
You get any
It
residuals
was
on
on
this?
Facebook. It was on Facebook.
Did
It
you
said
see-
you need
hear
to
that?
interview your parent.
Dad wants to know if he
What?
gets any residuals.
Did you cut this off?
No. Mm-mm, no, I need to witness that.
Witness
Residual
what?
part. Get over here.
Because
For what? Come here.
Because
You get one.
They're both
you're
gonna-
going to, you know.
This is like just before doing your last will and testament.
I know.
That's right.
Y'all gonna send this to
Well, that's
Susie? And
when
get
we
her.
finish it. When we finish it, I'm gonna
If
put
you
it on
send
DVD.
it to her now, she'll get jealous.
No, I already told her.
What's
Speaking
going
of
on?
residuals. Speaking of inheritance, was it inheritance we were talking about? Oh, this was good.